Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Taming Brooklyn by Charlotte St. Pierre, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1, Brooklyn. Brooklyn Reeves, you better not even think about trying to ditch me tonight. My best friend was standing at the door of my bedroom, staring at me. I couldn't help but visibly cringe which just tells her I was absolutely thinking about finding an excuse to not go out. I sighed and rolled out of bed. Granted, it was still early, but I was content to curl up with Netflix on my laptop and a glass of wine. I'm just not sure I want to be around so many people, I started to explain. Ash had been my best friend since college. There was no one on the planet that knew me better than her. No flimsy excuse was going to work on her. Right then, I knew I was in trouble by the way her eyes narrowed at me. I leave in 2 days. I will be gone for months. You were coming out to celebrate with me, she demanded. With that, I was caught. She was right. Ash had won a fantastic promotion at her job, and they were sending her to Europe to train in the main office for 3 months. It was an opportunity of a lifetime. I repeated in my head for at least the millionth time. I was happy for Ash, really, but I was heartbroken over the idea of her being gone for so long. I trudged to my closet and looked around. Ash came to stand next to me and rub my shoulder as I took a deep breath, trying to convince myself I could do this. Ash's company had given her VIP access to Club 4, one of the hottest clubs in the city. She had always wanted to go, but with her schedule and being best friends with a hermit, she never got the chance. Now I somehow had to convince myself that I could handle the crush of a drunken crowd. I turned and grabbed my red wine, downing the rest of the glass in a few gulps. That's the spirit, Ash exclaimed as she raced out of the room, presumably to get ready herself. I was left with my doubts and future regrets I knew I would have. I pulled a black halter dress from the closet. It was club attire, which means I hadn't worn it in months. However, the high front with halter would cover almost all of my most insecure feature. In the bathroom, I slipped the dress on. I couldn't wear a bra, which didn't bother me. My breasts weren't so large that they couldn't handle a night without security. The dress stopped mid-thigh, though with every step it liked to crawl up just a bit. I wore lacy hipsters underneath, just in case. I liked how the dress showed off one of my favorite assets, my toned legs. All the running I did was evident in them, and that was the only reason I kept doing it. Standing in front of the mirror, I traced the scar that started below my right ear and crossed across my collarbone, ending just above my cleavage. I adjusted the halter a few times, and most of the scar was hidden by the material. Leaving my long blonde hair down also helped. Looking at it made my stomach turn, but I looked at my face, smiled wide, and walked into the apartment living room. Ash was waiting in a fire engine red tube dress. She squealed when she took in my dress and silver stilettos I was slipping my feet into. I figured I'd regret the choice later, but Club 4 was the place for all the upper class to party. I didn't want to be a complete sore thumb in that crowd. With no bra, Ash carried my ID and debit card in her strapless bra. I had plans to dance tonight. We convinced the Uber driver to put on some hip hop as we drove, and by the time we pulled up to Club 4, we were both giggling and ready to have a drink. The line outside was ridiculous, but Ash grinned and flashed her VIP pass. That got us right in the door, much to the complaints of some in line. My best friend was eating up all the special attention. Bar first, she said moments before our senses were assaulted by the inside of the club. I nodded, knowing my voice would be lost as we stepped into the large open space filled with smoke and noise. My eyes tried to take everything in as Ash led us to the nearest bar. Center of the club was a large dance floor, which was packed full of bodies moving and grinding to She's a Goddess by Cut One and Spruce Springsteen. It was a slow song for dancing, but it was clear the crowd enjoyed the sensual beat and lyrics. There were 2 bars on the main floor, one on either side of the dance floor. It was dark with lights strobing throughout. For some reason, I was already struck with how sexual it felt inside. Standing at the bar next to Ash as she worked to catch the eye of the bartender, I looked up. There were at least 2 stories above the dance floor with balconies overlooking the main floor. Ash caught me looking and pulled on my arm. The second floor is the VIP area, I think. We can go up there for some space, she yelled near my ear. I nodded and continued to look around. I saw a man at the other end of the bar staring hard at me, so I immediately turned to face Ash. I wanted to have fun, and a man wasn't required for that. Ash shoved a pink shot into my hand. I raised an eyebrow, and she just shrugged before clinking glasses and downing the shot. I followed her lead and let the sweet liquor flow down my throat. 2 more shots down, and Ash was ready to hit the dance floor. I started to feel warm and finally stopped fidgeting with my halter, trying to ensure it stayed over my scar. Ash had told me so many times that it wasn't gruesome, and maybe it wasn't, but I just didn't like to answer questions. How am I supposed to introduce myself when the remains of the long gash clearly visible? Hi there. Oh, it's nothing. I survived a murderer. Maroon 5 came across the speakers with Girls Like You, which caused Ash to grin and drag me toward the moving mass of people. With a bit of alcohol-induced courage and Ash protecting me from being trampled, we found ourselves in the middle of the dance floor. After dancing enough that I had started sweating, we decided to head up to the VIP section and take a break and find more alcohol. Ash was beaming with joy, and I knew it's not only the dancing and liquor. She was really very excited about her new opportunity. I pasted a smile on my face to hide all of my turmoil. Ash flashed her VIP card again, and we were allowed to climb a set of stairs that took us to an area with booths sectioned off by black curtains. The hostess at the top of the stairs showed us to an empty booth and placed Ash's name on the table so we could hold it and still dance. I waggled my eyebrows at Ash comically. Neither of us knew what it was like to be treated with such importance. I slipped off my heels and massaged my feet for a moment before a waitress appeared. Ash ordered us 2 rounds of the shots we had been taking, and I threw in waters at the last minute. My friend just laughed and nodded before the waitress left. Scooting into the center of the 2 large booths, we sat together in the center. Ash leaned on me, and I wrapped an arm around her. A man passed by our booth, and I saw his gaze land on us for a moment longer than necessary. Mark that one. He's coming back, I said in Ash's ear. He was hot, so that's okay, she replied with a laugh. I looked at her incredulous. You're leaving in 2 days. What's that got to do with a one-nighter? We both cracked up laughing at our conversation, and the waitress arrived with our drinks. The shots were gone in the blink of an eye. I had enough thought left to sip the water while shoving the open bottle into Ash's hand as well. She rolled her eyes but sipped, used to my caretaker ways at this point. Holding hands, we made it back to the dance floor and carefully made our way back to the center. I Don't Want to Live Forever by Zayn came on, and I couldn't help but sway with the crowd, my arms above my head. I twisted so Ash was dancing along my back. A shiver passed through me, and for a moment I could feel eyes on me. I looked around, but didn't see anything to worry about. Looking up on the 3rd floor, I saw them. The dark club didn't hide that they were beautiful men, one with short blonde hair and the other with dark spikes. Beyond that, I couldn't make out all of their features, and for some reason I knew it was me they were watching. The feeling made me feel emboldened and sexy in a way I had never considered myself. Ash was still with me, but there was a man trying to get her attention. It only took a moment to realize it was the hot guy from the VIP section. I caught Ash's gaze over his shoulder, and she gave me a megawatt smile. She spun around the guy, so her and I were still dancing together. The guy definitely didn't care, as his attention was 100% on my friend. I was sure a last-minute fling would be happening. I would just try to not catch the walk of shame in the morning. The idea had me laughing to myself. When I got the courage, I looked back up to the 3rd level balcony. My heart stuttered, and I sank a little when I realized my admirers were gone. It was a strange, fleeting feeling. I mentally shook my drunk self. Quit it, Brooklyn.